Welcome everybody. This is our duct tape engineered Mark 18 style rifle using the Double Eagle Noveske. So before we talk about putting this thing together, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a background story and the reasons why we put this thing together in the first place. First off, welcome to Slackology. We're just a small team of airsofters that recently got into the hobby. We have been playing for about 6 months now, and we mostly use high kappas. We wanted to branch out recently, and that's why we decided to look into the gas blowback realm in terms of rifles. Before we invest in high-end rifles, we wanted to try what GBB rifles are like. So based on community feedback and what we've seen on YouTube, the Double Eagle Noveske is a nice starting point, especially for people who want to stay within the Marui systems. So that's the reason why we got a Double Eagle Noveske. And of course, magazines are expensive as hell, so if we wanted to invest into a Tokai Marui in the future, we can use the same magazines for that system. Alright, so Double Eagle Noveske, super budget-friendly option. Why did we switch the rail systems? Well, that's just the beauty of airsoft, right? We have the free will to customize it in any way, shape, or form that you prefer. Recently, I got tired of drinking vanilla lattes and switched over to just straight black coffee, and to match that energy, I decided to get rid of the M-LOK system for a bit and put on a quad rail. And after making the customization, I'm starting to see the hype behind the Mark 18 style. It just has a unique look. I mean, everything is M-LOK nowadays, so having something different like this quad rail system just keeps the hobby fresh for me. Alright, let's talk about putting this thing together. This modification should work for most of the Daniel Defense replica handguards, and we'll showcase some different builds later in the video, but let's go ahead and talk about problem number 1. Now with all the Daniel Defense base plates, they have these nubs that help with alignment to the upper receiver. However, these nubs will get in the way when you're trying to attach it to the Double Eagle Noveske. So to fix problem number 1, we decided to file down these nubs and flatten the base plate. By doing so, we're able to flush the base plate to the upper receiver of the Noveske. This is where problem number 2 occurs. Because these nubs are no longer there, they're not able to align the handguard to the upper receiver. So in order to fix the centering, you have to use the Daniel Defense barrel nuts. You can't use the Noveske one because they're way too large. And the second component to help with centering is to use the replica gas block. Once the base plate is attached and centered, now you can throw on the handguard, and this is where problem number 3 starts. When using a RIS-2 or RIS-3 system, typically you would have 6 attachment points with these M5 screws. Unfortunately, with this modification, there's only room for 2 of those screws to exist on the bottom of the rail. The other M5 screws are not able to be utilized because they make contact with the upper receiver. Because we only have 2 attachment points, the handguard will fall forward. In order to fix this problem, I just went on Amazon and bought an RMR plate and was able to attach it to align the top rail system. Now you guys are way smarter than us, so if you are aware of an RMR plate or any type of Picatinny attachment that will help with this alignment, then please drop it in the comments below. But basically this RMR plate only has 1 screw, so it only bites into 1 segment on the upper rail. But like I said, you guys are way smarter than us, so if you know of an RMR plate or a Picatinny attachment that can bite into the 2 segments, the back of the handguard and the front piece of the upper receiver, then please, by all means, let us know. The reason we're using this RMR plate is because, for me, I prefer to have my sights on that first segment on the upper receiver, but because we need attachment points between the handguard and the upper receiver, I need to ride my aiming device back 1 segment, and that's why we have the RMR plate and the riser next to each other like this. Now, if you want better alignment, you guys could always add washers or spacers. And if you don't like the look of that RMR plate, you could always put a Ranger band or goon tape over it. And that is pretty much all you need to do for this modification. Unfortunately, it is not a 1-to-1 replica to a typical Mark 18 style rifle because you're missing all those M5 screws. But like I said, once you throw a Ranger band or some goon tape from a distance, no one's going to be able to tell. Again, this is a budget Mark 18 style build within the MWS system, so you need to be mindful that occasionally the handguard will slip downwards if you're not careful. But at the end of the day, for the base Noveske, I only paid $280 and the handguard's about $80 to $100 depending on the length that you get. Altogether, that's way cheaper than some of the high-end rifles out there. Because the main component for all these Daniel Defense handguards are the base plate, you can always switch out for different lengths and different colors. The reason why we have bronze here is because that's the color that Specna Arms released, but there are a ton of different colors offered by SEMA. In this variation, we have a 12.5 RIS 3 handguard, and this variant has a unique look to it. It's almost like an LVOC. We just used the base Noveske outer barrel and attached a small spacer and the BT tracer, and all together with the 12.5 handguard, it looks really cool with the receded tracer unit. Well, that's all we got, guys. I mean, a little bit of duct tape engineering, but if you want to customize your rifle, this is one way to do it. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, but more importantly, share your builds with us. If you decide to do this modification, you can follow us at Slackology on Instagram, and if you have any other thoughts or modifications to add to this build, let us know in the comments below.